Hello, in today's video, I'm going to be talking about why I quit coffee. So let's get into it. Coffee. Before I even go into why I quit coffee, I'm going to give you a little bit of a history with coffee and me. So I did not become a regular coffee drinker until my mid-20s. I went through college without drinking a lot of coffee. Maybe I had 2 cups throughout my college career. And after college, I really wasn't drinking coffee. I started drinking coffee when I was in graduate school, and I had a lot of late nights, and during finals I would stay up studying, and so I used coffee to help me to stay awake. Now, because I started drinking coffee more frequently, I became dependent upon coffee. So in the mornings, I looked forward to that warm cup of coffee, and I didn't feel like I was ready for my day without my cup of coffee. I really looked forward to having a cup of coffee every single day. Back then, I was drinking about 1 cup of coffee a day on average. It wasn't a lot, but that's where my love for coffee developed. So fast forward, I graduated from law school and I moved across the country to start my first legal job after law school. So here I was on the East Coast, and I moved to California to start my first legal job. And the culture in that office was mostly everyone loved coffee, and I fit right in. But that's when I started consuming coffee a lot more. Instead of 1 cup per day on average, I was having 2, sometimes 3 cups on average per day. That's a lot of coffee when you think about it. I really looked forward to making that trip to Starbucks to have my coffee. And at that time too, I had gotten into working out, like lifting weights in the gym. And I liked working out before I went to work. So coffee helped when I woke up really early to go to the gym before work. Coffee helped me to get my day started, right? To help me feel energized and ready for the gym. So I would go work out and then go to work. After I completed that job, it was a fellowship. It was a 2-year fellowship. I moved back to the East Coast, and I was working in a very, very, very busy legal agency. And some days it would be 12 hours, some 14. It was a steep learning curve for me, a steep learning curve for a lot of new attorneys. We were litigating heavy in court. I was in court almost every day, and there was a lot for me to learn. And I relied on coffee. My entire office relied on coffee heavily, and my coffee drinking increased even more. I was addicted to coffee, and it was a lifestyle choice that I made, a lifestyle choice that I was proud of. Hashtag coffee lover. I loved coffee. I looked forward to my coffee runs to Starbucks. I loved, in particular, Starbucks coffee. But I began to notice that coffee was having the opposite effect on me. Like, I would drink coffee, I would feel good for a few hours, but then I would crash and I would need another cup, and then I would crash and I would need another cup. And it wasn't as effective anymore in helping me to stay alert. Maybe because seriously, my body was tired and I needed rest more than anything. And looking back, I realized while I was going to the gym and I had somewhat of a healthy diet. I was not taking care of myself well because sleep is so important, right? And we were working these long hours. I was depending on coffee to help me through, and I wasn't drinking enough water. Looking back, I was definitely dehydrated, and that was only compounded by me having so many cups of coffee per day. At this point, I was up to 3 to 4 on average, 4 cups of coffee a day, and sometimes I would ask for an extra espresso shot. Like I said, I was in this coffee lover lifestyle, and I didn't see anything wrong with it. I never even thought about health effects of coffee on me, but I did notice that I wasn't as alert anymore, even though I was drinking a lot of coffee. Like, coffee didn't give me that alert. At the end of the day, after I had a long day, I just needed to rest. And coffee wasn't helping me to stay awake. What I really needed was sleep. So I became a mom after a number of years at that legal agency, that firm. And when I became pregnant with my first child, I had to cut back on my coffee drinking because you can't have that much coffee when you're pregnant. And my doctor was like, oh, it's okay to have 1 cup per day. Sometimes instead of coffee, it was tea. And, I did that because I had to. And I also did it for the health of my child. But after I gave birth and I got the clearance to consume coffee, I started drinking coffee again. But when I started drinking coffee again, I started noticing even more strange, what I thought were strange effects on me. I would drink coffee, and sometimes, depending on the amount that I had, I would feel a little shaky or I'd feel a little anxious, and that didn't happen before. So I wasn't sure why coffee was making me feel that way. So for a week or two, I would go on and off. I would pause on the coffee for a week, but then I would go back on the other week. And I just noticed that after I got that initial wake up from coffee, like an hour or two later, it just made me feel sick. I did not feel well, and I didn't understand why coffee was having this strange effect upon me. But yet, I continued to consume it. By this time, I had 1 cup per day. I was only having 1 cup per day. And instead of Starbucks, I switched over to Dunkin' Donuts because I thought, they had less caffeine. And so it probably would have affected me differently. But I still noticed that coffee, I wasn't feeling well. So fast forward, I was just really dependent upon coffee. And I look forward to it as a mom. And just, to get that initial wake up in the morning. I look forward to enjoying and savoring that cup of coffee. So fast forward to last year, and I started bringing everything about my life, even what I thought were the minor things, to God. And I was like, God, I don't know what's going on with when I drink coffee, but I'm not feeling well when I have it. Initially, I feel great, but after, I'm not feeling very well. I'm not feeling good when I drink coffee. And I felt within my spirit, I felt inside that I should let coffee go, that I shouldn't be drinking anymore. To be honest, I wasn't obedient initially, but months went by and I would drink coffee. I started getting palpitations. I would feel that shakiness in my hands. I would feel anxious after drinking it. And then I decided it has to go. So in November 2023, I decided no more coffee for me. Like, I did not want to be a daily coffee drinker anymore. And I went cold turkey. I stopped drinking coffee. I did not have a replacement. I completely weaned myself off of coffee. And let me tell you, it was difficult. Even though I had those periods where I would go off for a week, but I would come back the next week. This time I decided I wasn't going to do that. I was just going to go straight, no coffee. And I had a lot of headaches. I felt strange. There were days I felt extremely, extremely tired. But my body was just healing from having a dependence upon coffee for so long. So I went through the withdrawal phase. And for me, it took about a month before I started feeling like myself again. But it was worth it. I increased my water intake. I made sure I was getting enough sleep. And that's how I was able to let coffee go. So here I am, November, December, January, February. I'm no longer a daily coffee drinker. I have left coffee behind. Some days I do have tea, or I have bone broth in the morning because I do like having a warm drink in the mornings. So if it's not tea, I'll have some bone broth, or sometimes I even have warm water with lemon or warm water with some sort of electrolyte powder, but no more coffee, and I feel a lot better. I don't have that anxious feeling anymore I was getting after I drink coffee. My hands aren't shaking anymore. I'm not getting any crashes in the afternoon because I need more coffee, or my body is like weaning off of that caffeine that I had in the morning. I have more of a sustained energy throughout the day, and I don't see myself going back to being a daily coffee drinker. I am so glad I let it go. I feel a lot better. I'm glad I'm not dependent upon coffee anymore, and I'm saving some money by not doing a Dunkin' Donuts run on a daily basis. So if I had any tips to share, what would I say to anyone who wants to let coffee go? I would say do it, especially if you're doing it to take care of yourself and for health reasons. Definitely do it. It's not worth it to hurt yourself, to hurt your body for a cup of coffee or cups of coffee every day. Do it. Go through the withdrawal period, even if it's tough. You will definitely notice the benefits. I'm not saying coffee is bad for everyone. I know that it was not good for me in the long term, and our bodies are temples of the Holy Ghost as Christians, and we really need to be honoring our bodies. So that's just my story of why I quit coffee and why I don't believe I'll be going back to being a daily coffee drinker. Thank you for watching. Bye.